The night is a physical, oppressive weight in the vast, dark South China Sea. It is not just the absence of light, it's the crushing humidity, a thick, wet blanket that clings tenaciously to exposed skin, cold metal, and glass. Thousands of miles from the nearest continental landmass, the distant horizon becomes an indistinct, hazy, and wet illusion.
Here, the 90% humidity of the stifling air simply merges with the 100% humidity of the sea.
The water itself, appearing black and oily under a sliver of moon, is a contested territorial battleground. This ocean is not just water, but a complex, strategic chessboard of intense, competing international claims.
It is dotted with dredged sand artificial islands, which have been transformed into massive, concrete military fortresses. These fortresses are bristling with advanced radar domes, surface-to-air missiles, and imposing 10,000-foot-long military runways.
This immense military infrastructure has been constructed directly on top of what were once pristine, vital coral reefs.
This is the face of the new Cold War, a conflict that is fought in the ambiguous gray zones.
It exists in the static between diplomatic channels, but tonight, this conflict is about to become kinetic.
The alerted Pacific Special Operations Command, SOCPAC, at Camp H.M. Smith in Hawaii, did not arrive with a siren.
Instead, the critical alert came as a highly classified data stream that simply and suddenly ceased to transmit.
Call sign TRITON-7, an advanced autonomous underwater vehicle, a ghost in the water, had missed its vital ping. This massive platform, larger than a school bus, had now missed its 500th consecutive "I'm okay" status ping. This was not a simple malfunction. TRITON-7 was the bleeding edge of naval technology, a billion-dollar strategic platform.
It was capable of mapping the seabed with unprecedented resolution and monitoring submarine traffic using passive acoustics.
The UUV could also sniff electronic emissions from surface vessels, acting as a clandestine mobile sensor grid. Its brain, a next-generation quantum-entangled communication node, was the platform's most vital and guarded secret.
Now, its last known telemetry placed it on a direct, uncommanded course for a heavily fortified reef system.
This rival nation's fortress, a place known only as the Citadel in highly classified operational briefings.
It's not stopping.
The billion-dollar asset had inexplicably gone rogue, or far worse, it was actively being pulled in by the adversary.
The problem was truly catastrophic in its immediate and long-term implications for United States national security.
If the Citadel's forces successfully recovered Triton-7, they wouldn't just get the advanced hardware, they would get the keys.
They would possess the data it had collected for 6 months, a complete operational picture of naval movements.
They would have the autonomous navigation algorithms, the acoustic signature libraries, and worst of all, the quantum node.
Its capture would represent a technological leap that would take decades and trillions of dollars for the U.S. to overcome.
It was not a matter of if a high-risk recovery operation would be launched, but a matter of how fast.
The answer was 36 hours. That was the window. 36 hours before Triton-7's batteries finally died.
Its internal heaters would fail, exposing the quantum core to the ambient environment, frying it. A fail-safe.
But it was also 36 hours before the rival nation's recovery teams, undoubtedly alerted, could mobilize their own salvage assets.
They could claim it as derelict equipment found within their own self-proclaimed contested territorial waters.
The mission was not recovery. The mission, in the end, was simply and brutally one of denial.
The order sliced through the noise of routine operations, cascading across the entire Pacific theater of operations.
At Naval Special Warfare Group 1 in Coronado, the ready platoon for SEAL Team 5 was activated.
The platoon, call sign Ronin, was pulled from a routine training dive in the middle of the afternoon.
They were not told why. They were simply told to pack for a tropical environment, heavy on maritime insertion.
Their orders also included a highly sensitive equipment exploitation package, meaning explosives and specialized tools.
The request for their God's Eye View and clandestine insertion platform came next, tasking the 1st Special Operations Squadron.
But the real linchpin of the entire operation was the shadowy, unseen cyber component from Fort Meade. Operators from U.S. Cyber Command, Task Force Medusa, were already at work, deep inside the NSA hangar.
Their job was to find out precisely why Triton-7 went rogue. Was it hacked, or was it a simple malfunction?
The initial analysis from Task Force Medusa was chilling. Triton-7 was not malfunctioning, it was being directed. The autonomous vehicle was being actively lured, pulled toward the enemy fortress.
The Citadel was emitting a complex, spoofed acoustic signal, a highly advanced form of electronic warfare.
It was a digital siren song, perfectly mimicking a friendly return-to-base beacon, but with subtle, malicious alterations.
The UUV's advanced AI, designed for autonomy, was interpreting this as a valid, high-priority command from a mother ship.
It was a brilliant, devastating piece of electronic warfare. The UUV was actively navigating toward the enemy, thinking it was going home.
The cyber team immediately tried to send a counter-command, a desperate kill packet, but the signal was blocked.
It was being blanketed by a massive wall of broadband jamming noise emanating directly from the Citadel fortress.
The conclusion was inescapable. The only way to kill Triton-7 was to physically touch it with explosives.
The operational plan was given a code name, Operation Neptune's Spear. It was simple in its objective.
It was nightmarishly complex in its execution. Ronin Platoon, a 16-man SEAL element, would be the primary action force.
They would be inserted via high-altitude, high-opening, or HAHO parachute jump from the Wraith-Actual aircraft.
Their jump would place them in the open ocean, 10 miles up current for the target reef system.
From there, they would link up with their delivery system, 2 modified Mark V Special Operations craft.
These fast, low-profile boats were launched from the well deck of the amphibious transport dock USS Green Bay.
The Green Bay was loitering just over the horizon, perfectly disguised as part of a freedom of navigation group. The Mark V's, call sign Viking, would carry them close to the target, but not too close. The final 3 miles would be a subsurface transit using Diver Propulsion Devices, silent, emission-free, and slow. Their mission, locate Triton-7, which telemetry showed was now lodged on a shallow reef near the seawall.
They were to plant explosive charges on the UUV, retrieve the vital data core, and vanish.
The timeline was absolute. The operation had to occur during the darkest part of the lunar cycle.
This window coincided with the adversary's primary radar maintenance schedule, a gap in their surveillance.
But there was another threat. The area was swarming with maritime militia, ostensibly civilian fishing trawlers.
In reality, they were floating reconnaissance platforms, their decks packed with antennas and holding armed military personnel.
These little blue men of the sea were the adversary's first line of defense, a deniable force.
They could swarm, harass, and intercept any vessel without triggering a direct, state-on-state military conflict.
The MC-130J, Wraith-Actual, climbed into the inky blackness high above the Pacific, en route to the target.
Inside, the cabin was a dark cavern of red light. The air was cold, smelling of jet fuel.
Ronin Platoon sat in total silence, harnessed, heavy, and ready. Each man was a node in a system.
Encased in dry suits, wearing closed-circuit rebreathers, and carrying over 100 pounds of mission-essential gear.
Their platoon commander, call sign Warden, went over the plan on a ruggedized tablet, his voice a low monotone. The imagery was stark. Satellite photos of the Citadel, a concrete and steel behemoth parked on a reef.
Thermal images showed critical hotspots, generator exhausts, guard towers, and a surface skimming radar on the main pier. Target is TRITON-7. Last known position is here on the western shoal.
Intel suggests it's partially surfaced. That's good for us, but it's also bad for them. They see it.
We assume they have eyes on it right now. We are the intercept. We are not there to fight.
We are there to deny. Get the core, plant the charges, and exfil. Any questions? There were none.
The cyber component, Task Force Medusa, was not idle. As Ronin prepared to jump, they initiated their plan.
They couldn't stop the jamming, but they could create a critical, wide-area digital distraction for the adversary. Using a compromised satellite, they spoofed electronic signatures of a B-1B Lancer on a bombing run.
They triggered false alarms in a neighboring country's air defense network, forcing the adversary to divert focus.
It was a digital shaping operation. They couldn't make Ronin invisible, but they could make the adversary look away.
They needed to digitally blind the local operator, the one watching the live camera feeds from the reef.
10 minutes. Read the first wave on trace 694, which comes to here.
The ramp at the back of the C-130 began to lower, revealing a void of rushing black air.
The team stood, hooked their lines, and performed final checks. Equipment check! All secure. Stand by! Stand by, stop. Go! Go! Go!
The green light flashed. One by one, 16 shadows detached from the ramp.
The fall was silent, a controlled plummet from 25,000 feet. They were in HAHO configuration.
The world became a whisper of wind. Below them, a black void. Their navigation boards glowed green.
They flew in a tight stack formation, Warden at the lead, navigating towards a single, invisible point.
This was the first hurdle. A scattered team, and the mission was over. They descended for 30 minutes.
The sound of the ocean grew.
Feet wet.
Warden called as his boots kissed the Pacific. They landed within a 50-meter circle, collapsed their canopies, and immediately formed a floating security perimeter. From the blackness, two low shapes emerged. The Mark V SOCs, Viking 1 and Viking 2, running dark. The SEALs were pulled aboard, a flurry of practiced, efficient motion. Gear stowed, weapons checked.
Manned by Special Warfare Combatant Craft crewmen, the brown water experts, the boats bristled with heavy weapons.
All Ronin aboard. Viking Actual, we are green. Proceeding to insertion point.
The boat's powerful diesel engines roared, and they accelerated, skimming across the waves at over 40 knots.
They raced the clock, running parallel to the adversary's claimed and contested 12 nautical mile limit.
On the horizon, the glow of the Citadel was now visible, a cancerous yellow light on the sea.
5 miles, the Viking commander called, slowing to drop off. This was as far as they could go. Ronin, your ride is over. Godspeed.
Each squad unlashed a pair of DPVs, small, torpedo-like underwater scooters for their final transit.
Warden and his squad, Ronin 1, would go for the asset. Ronin 2 would set a security perimeter.
Check comms. They were now on a closed-loop underwater acoustic comm system, a UCOM.
1, good check. 2, good check. All Ronin, move out.
the world compressed to the green-tinted beam of their dive lights, cutting small cones in the murky water. They were moving at 3 knots, a silent, ghostly procession, passing through beautiful but deadly fluorescent plankton.
They stayed deep, 10 meters below the surface. Their rebreathers were working perfectly, scrubbing their carbon dioxide.
For an hour, the only sound was the DPVs' whine and their breathing, navigating by compass and Doppler sonar.
Ronin 2 split off first, ascending to periscope depth to observe the pier.
Warden, this is 2 actual.
I have visual on the pier. 2 armed guards. 1 static, 1 roving. Standard AK pattern rifles.
Searching. Locking.
I see a ZSU 23-2 anti-aircraft gun. Cold. No activity on the water. No boats are manned.
Roger. 2. Maintain overwatch. Alert on any change. Ronin 1 continued, closing the last 500 meters.
Warden broke the surface first. The Citadel was massive, a sheer wall of concrete rising from the water.
Searchlights swept the water, but lazily, their pattern predictable and easy to avoid. And then, he saw it.
There, exactly where Intel said, was TRITON-7, snagged on the jagged coral, its black hull beached.
Warden, this is 1 actual. I have eyes on the package.
The team fanned out. 2 men, the breacher and heavy weapons guy, set up a rear guard, watching their back.
Warden, his EOD specialist, and 2 more assaulters approached the UUV.
Okay, Fuse, talk to me.
Fuse ran his gloved hands over the hull. It's snagged hard, LT. See that gash? The hull's compromised.
He moved to the main access panel. I'm going for the core. Hold my light steady. I mean steady.
It was slow, agonizing work. Every metallic click echoed in the silence, sounding as loud as a gunshot.
Warden scanned the seawall. The roving guard was at the far end of his beat. The static guard was slumped.
Hold. 2, what's your status? Do you see the static guard?
2 actual.
Yeah, LT, I see him. He's not moving. Wait, the roving guard is approaching him.
The radio silence was suddenly shattered by a distant, tinny shout. A light beam lanced out.
Compromise!
They're awake! Roving guard is on his radio!
Fuse, how much time?
Almost got it. Core is downloading. 1 minute. You don't have 1 minute. Plant the charges. Now! Everyone else, security! Pop flares!
The SEALs fired parachute flares. The sky lit up, turning night into a hellish, blinding day.
The ZSU gun opened up, its 4 barrels spitting green tracers that ripped across the water, firing blind.
Charge is set. Core is secured. Ronin 2, you are clear to engage. Suppress that gun. The team dove, found their DPVs, and engaged the drives. A controlled chaos, hearts pounding in their chests.
Fuse, blow it! Warden ordered on the UCOM. Firing. Fuse thumbed the detonator. The explosion was a deep thump. The shockwave hit them like a mule kick. Warden righted himself, did a quick count.
7. All present.
TRITON-7 and its quantum core were now a cloud of shattered components settling to the seafloor.
Viking Actual, this is Ronin Actual. Mission complete. Requesting emergency extraction. We are hot. I repeat, we are hot.
Roger, Ronin. The SWCC commander's voice came back. Viking is inbound. We read you. Sit tight.
But from the Citadel, 3 high-speed interceptor craft had emerged. They were fast, armed, and closing.
Viking, we have bogeys. Closing from the east.
Oh! We see him, Ronin. Get ready for a hot pickup.
The lead interceptor boat, caught by surprise, veered off, its bow stitching with hundreds of high-velocity hits.
All Ronin aboard Viking 2.
Viking 1, break! Break!
The two Mark V boats turned and ran, engines screaming.
Loadmaster, this is Viking Actual. We are RTB, but we are in pursuit. Requesting air support. Anything you've got.
A new voice joined the net. It was Wraith-Actual. Viking, this is Wraith. We've been watching. Stand by.
The C-130, not a gunship, had its own tricks. The crew deployed a new system, high-powered microwave emitters.
On the adversary's boat, their engines sputtered. Their radar screens went blank. Their radiators went static.
It was non-lethal, but utterly effective. The boats slowed, confused, and were left dead in the water.
The rest of the Exfil was a blur. A high-speed transit to the Green Bay's open, waiting well deck. The stern gate closed behind them, sealing them in. The Green Bay was already turning, heading for international waters.
Ronin Platoon, dripping and exhausted, disembarked. Warden walked straight to the ship's intel center, clutching the data core. He handed it to a waiting intelligence officer. "Package is secure," he said, his voice hoarse.
He then went to find his men. They were in the debriefing room, the adrenaline ebbing, replaced by weariness.
They had done the impossible. They had fought a battle in the gray zone, a battle no one would ever know about. Back at SOCPAC, the data core was already being analyzed. Task Force Medusa was cross-referencing the data.
They found it. A hidden subroutine in TRITON-7's code. A sleeper exploit inserted months prior.
I found it. The acoustic signal from the Citadel wasn't a lure. It was the key. It activated the hidden code.
It told the UUV to come home to a new master. The adversary had been planning this for a long time.
The recovery of the core, the data from Ronin's mission, had just exposed an entire enemy cyber-espionage campaign.
The official story. Training exercise successfully completed. The adversary's diplomatic protest would be quietly, firmly ignored.
And in the South China Sea, the great game would continue. The black, indifferent water would hold its secrets.
The men of Ronin Platoon would be back in Coronado in a week, cleaning their weapons, packing parachutes.
For in the world of special operations, the silent, unseen, and unthanked are the ones who hold the line.
The debriefings were exhaustive, meticulous, and held in a windowless room known as a SCIF.
They spoke in clipped, precise language. The cyber operators from Medusa were patched in via secure video.
The exploit was sophisticated, one of them explained. It piggybacked on a routine temperature sensor update.
It was designed to be dormant until it received a specific, multi-layered acoustic and magnetic signature. The implications were profound. It meant the adversary had deep, persistent access to the US defense supply chain.
The UUV sensors had inadvertently mapped the entire electronic warfare suite of the Citadel. They now had its fingerprint.
In trying to steal an asset, the adversary had given away their own crown jewels. A strategic victory.
The men of Ronin Platoon, however, were focused on the tactical. The ZSU was a surprise, Warden noted.
Intel said it was non-operational. It was very operational.
Days later, back in Coronado, the team was on the beach, doing log PT, moving as one.
It's light! It's light! My grandmother could carry this log. You ladies tired?
This was the other side of the coin. Not the high-tech raid, but the relentless, grinding conditioning.
The operation, Neptune's Spear, was filed away. It became a case study at the Naval War College.
But for those who were there, it was the smell of the rebreather, the cold shock, the green sonar. It was the quiet, invisible work of US forces in action, a single, critical thread in national security.
Played out in the dark,
on the edge and in the gray zones. The game goes on.